Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kenny Lamons here with Medicare Millennials, and I am back again with Andrew from Renegade Medicare Millionaire. And we've just been having good conversations about what it's like in the Medicare industry, like what's working for us, what's working for him. He's got like a super unique selling system that I've gleaned a lot from just learning from the way he does business. And I just think it's like helpful conversation. So I asked him to just allow us to break this down into a few different episodes that are targeted on things that I think will be useful, whether you're a brand new agent or a seasoned agent and you just want to do run your agency better. So last episode, we talked about commissions and why specifically focusing on T65s in your Medicare business can make a huge difference in the financial side of it. So you can check that episode out. Today, we're just going to have a conversation about time and time management. So what does that look like? Like when we say, hey, we're Medicare agents, here's how much we sell or how much time and what are we doing with that time to accomplish that? So, Andrew, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back. Yes, time management. Probably one of the keys that a lot of agents overlook. So I'm happy to dive in and pull the curtain back a little bit of how I do things. Probably be pretty eye-opening for a lot of agents because I'm probably working 10 times less than most other agents yet making 10 times more money. And I don't do any cross-selling. It's all Medicare. So
Yeah.
happy to share.
Yeah, and that's like probably that's different from the way I've always done it, and probably different from what most people are thinking how they're going to do it. So this will be helpful.
Yep.
So before we jump into it, as all of you guys know, if you want to do a coaching call with me, I do provide that. You can go to MedicareMillennials.com. That's always in the description. Andrew, you also have a program where you help people learn your selling system. And I know you are on like you have a high demand of people that want to learn about this. So you do have like a calendar. So not everybody can jump straight into the program immediately, correct? To just kind of give like a general idea that way.
Correct. Yeah. So I do have just free content out there about specifically selling T65. It's a free email newsletter I do. That's at T65sellingsecrets.com. We can link up with that. But yes, I do have an agent coaching community. Um, Basically there's a pretty involved onboarding process because I'm essentially give every agent my business in a box that they can go use in their own, including white labeling my best-selling book, all those lead magnets and marketing systems and things like that for their local area. So we open up applications usually the first half of the year for anyone who wants to apply to that. And then this way we can make sure we get everything set up and working to generate more T65 leads, which turns into more sales. Kind of before that July, August time when research and AHIP and all that AEP retention occurs. But yeah, that's that renegademedicaremillionaire.com. You can check it out there. Um,
I just want to set the expectation there for some agents. Hey, if you're brand new to the industry and you're wanting to get started, like go sign up for that newsletter. Feel free to look in,
yeah,
but just know that the timing of that program might not line up with the moment that you want, just so people have a realistic
Yeah, and I
expectation.
have a waiting list as well. So if people do, because people reach out to me all year round, um, and I just have a growing list, and then usually at the end of AEP, early January, if there's anyone that's come in the last half of the year, I give them first right of refusal to jump in as a new agent, before we kind of open it up to other people who have not yet reached out. So
Got it.
free content's great. It's all helpful. And then, I'm happy to work with anyone that wants help. We just got to make sure that we're not doing too much too soon.
Absolutely. So let's jump into time management. Take
Yeah.
us back to when you first started getting into selling Medicare and like, what did that look like the first year? How much time were you putting in? And then
Yeah.
the time that you were putting in, what were you actually day to day spending your time doing? And then we'll talk about how that's changed.
Yes, drastically changed. So going way back. So I started in 2015. I was actually a captive agent with UHC. So a lot of my time was spent doing their branded events in my local community, senior centers, health fairs, pharmacies. I know a lot of agents kind of start that way. Even if they go broker right on day one, they might be out doing events. Um, I felt very busy. even though I wasn't really making much money. A lot of events, full calendar, getting a lot of pats on the back from the agent managers of how much activity I was doing, even though I wasn't really producing a lot. Um, so there's the challenge there because you feel good that you're getting recognition for being busy, but you look at your bank account and there's like, oh, I didn't make any money again.
Hmm.
Um, so the other thing I was realizing is, you're collecting PTCs. It's really hard to actually do a sales meeting with a random passerby at, a health fair, like a bingo at a senior center. So you're collecting PTCs. Now you got to follow up with people. Oftentimes they don't even remember who you are that they asked you to call them. So now you're convincing them and trying to convince them to agree to the appointment to then, do your plan presentations. And then you got to show them some sort of savings, make them switch their plans because um, a lot of those consumers that you're in front of in those type of events are not the T65 crowd, right? Because they're all still working. Um, so yeah, so that was about 3 years I was a captive agent. Then I kind of got smart, realized that I was kind of handcuffed with only being able to sell one product. So turned to a broker, opened up a little office, started still doing the same events, just now branding myself instead of the carrier, but ran into the same issues of being really busy and still having to chase prospects. This was about the same time that my wife, we got pregnant with our first, so we were expecting our first child. And I was just like, okay, if I'm going to be the main money maker, we wanted my wife to stay home raising the kids. I got to be making more money than, just a bulk amount in AEP and then kind of like trying to figure out how to budget the rest of the year because I was just, had very inconsistent sales the rest of the year. So that's when I kind of looked at the T65 market as it provided constant leads month to month because everyone's turning 65 all the time. And no matter the month I made the sale, I was making the maximum commission.
So,
So,
real quick, before you go forward with that,
yep,
you were making more sales early on, obviously, bulk sales during AEP.
correct.
So, I'm assuming you were probably working 50, 60 plus hours during AEP because you were
Oh
going,
yeah, I was probably working closer to like 100-hour work weeks. I mean, I was working 7 days a week, 9 to 7, just any
at
appointment I could get.
events,
Yeah,
following up with
and yeah, usually
clients.
I'd be doing events like at 9 in the morning and then usually at like 1 in the afternoon if I could do events two times a day. And then I'd try to do appointments like the hours in between. Um And yeah, I mean, I was just trying to get any appointment I could, meet anyone, anytime, anywhere, just on the chance to get another sale before that
You
kind
didn't
of.
have any, like at that time, if somebody says, well, you can come by at 7 tonight, you'd have to go at 7, right? And
Right. Right.
yeah. Okay. So that was during AP. Now, outside of AP, obviously you're a new agent. You really don't know how to sell T65s yet.
Right.
You're probably not working as much the rest of the year, I'm assuming. Or
Correct.
okay.
So
And
the event calendar was still pretty busy,
okay.
but my appointment schedules were 10
Left.
times less,
Got it.
right? Because I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to keep doing the events. I'm going to keep getting my name out there, keep collecting PTCs the whole 9 months before AEP. So I got this big stack I can follow up on in AEP.
Yeah.
Um, Thought it was smart. Didn't always work out, as favorable as I thought, but
So it's funny. That's helpful. Thank you. And I was just going to say, I never did events because I didn't understand you had to like sign up and register. And I'm just like a flustered brain type that just it never clicked for me.
Mhm.
I did direct mail a lot when I first started. See, so I was working a lot because I had to spend a lot of window time. Okay. So I would buy my leads, which were pretty expensive. Direct mail leads are fair, relatively expensive. Now, I did get a lot of appointments and they were pretty good appointments, right? Like they're way better than a Facebook lead or something.
Sure.
And at that time, I would but I would have to drive all over to these appointments. So I didn't really ever work late into the evenings, but it was like every single day and Saturdays, at 8 a.m. or 7:30, I'd be headed that way, wouldn't get home till after, 5, 6 o'clock.
Sure. Yep.
Now, the only difference I think was I actually never made bulk, I didn't make tremendously more sales during AP, only a little bit more because my direct mail leads were focused on LIS
Mm-hmm.
and we had two 5-star plans at that time. So
Mm-hmm.
it was actually when I first started, I was selling 20, 30 plus apps a month doing direct mail
Yep.
outside of AEP. And then during AEP, believe it or not, I would actually sell about the same amount. I'd have to spend I worked more though because I was trying to save these people before they ever got switched. So
Mm-hmm.
since they were LIS, they were switchers.
Yep.
I had to like fend off the wolves to
100%.
see if I could save them. So it was crazy. People would say AEP season, it's selling season, baby. And I'm like, no, selling season's done. It's like, how do I prevent everyone else from taking my
Right. Right.
money?
Right. Right. Yep. Yep.
And I
Yeah, so I would go to these like carrier kickoff events pre-AEP, and now all these different carriers are talking about exactly that. DSNP, CSNP, LIS, we're rolling out new incentives, new plans, and I'm sitting in a room of 100 agents, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, this is going to be so great." And I'm like, all I'm hearing is these potential prospects and leads have multiple times a year they can change. So even if you're an agent that convinces them to change to a better plan, you have to do 10 times the work to retain them because I have 99 other agents in the same room that are all trying to switch them to something else the very next month. And I just felt like it wasn't really a great long-term strategy. So right off day one, I really tried to stay away from the DSNP, LIS, and let all the other agents in my area kind of fight over those. I was trying to go after more of just the regular, like MAPD, no LIS status, um, in
which was
AE
better in some ways, but it pigeonholed you as far as how many sales you could
pros
do
and cons,
outside of
right?
AEP.
Because then it's a lump sum in AEP. Unless you can get people in OEP, it's kind of, you're dead in the water the rest of the year. But that's how I just said, I got to figure out how to consistently sell um, every minute, every moment I'm going to take away from my wife, my new kid. I better be making the most amount of money I can because, I didn't want to miss out on, them crawling and walking and doing stuff as a family.
The
Um,
peanuts, yeah.
Oh yeah, right. So that's when I shifted into the T65s thing, and to go back to how things started to how they kind of transitioned. So in AEP, I was pretty much doing like 50 to 60 sales in AEP, and then I would do probably like two sales a month the rest of the year, right? Um, so in AEP, well, let's just use round numbers. So if I do, like 60 sales in AEP at 300 a pop, it was like 18 grand. My first year that I was like, okay, I'm not going to try to do much in AEP anymore. I'm going to really focus on T65 all year round. Um, Basically, within my first 2 months, I got to averaging about five T65 sales a month. So in the whole year, I still sold about 60 policies, right? Five times 12. But because I made 600 an app, I made two and a half times the commission than what I made last AEP. And I only had to sell five policies a month. And my AEP, basically, like you, I kind of turned it into retention mode. So, like, my whole year, my whole time of sales appointments and marketing and everything just changed completely the exact opposite of what I was doing. So, I was able to make more money and work less, which really is kind of the ideal situation. Work-life balance.
Yeah, and I mean that's the hard part for new agents is like so for you weren't a big cross seller, right? You've never been a life insurance guy. Yeah. So at least for me, when I transitioned into Medicare, so I've been in this business for 10 years, but I was captive for a while. Then I was mostly final expense for as an independent. And it wasn't till whatever, 3 or 4 years ago, I guess now that I actually focused on Medicare, right? But what only reason I was able to make it was because to afford the direct mail leads to get me in front of people. Because we talked about if I sold one of those direct mail leads in August, I was making nothing, like $50 or whatever.
Right, right, right.
The only way I was able to make it through that first year and a half, 2 years before a few renewals kicked in was selling some final expense. Like I needed to sell, two or three final expense policies a month in order to make that work. And so if you're new watching this, it's pretty much impossible to buy nice, expensive leads and sell plan transfers. So, in other words, people that already have a plan and not cross sell anything and not have any other income and survive in this business.
100%.
You've got
Yeah.
to either work a part time job, cross sell some products, get free lead, some type of free lead. So, anyway, I was just kind of pointing out like you've got to balance that equation. So,
Yeah. Or focus on T65.
that's right. So now
Right.
tell me you've kind of told us about transitioning that
Yeah.
why you transitioned into T65. How did that change your schedule, right? Like your time and
Yeah.
what does that look like
So
now?
yeah, so my whole game plan was so we got married, had our first kid, bought our first house, and then realized, man, I'm living on fumes. I can't, I'm like broke, barely getting by. So we actually sold our house, moved into my in-laws' basement to free up money to open up an office, right? And I still was very like conservative with spending money on marketing and doing cold lead generation. So a lot of my time, I was still spending more of my time than money on generating leads. But I basically just tried to get the goal of how can I go from five a month to 10, then 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 25. Now I'm 30 or more. It's been 5 years. So, I mean, I've gone from five a month, making about whatever that is, 3,000 a month in T65 commissions to 30 a month now, which is 18,000 a month in new commit. So that's making 60 grand a year to over 200,000 a year in upfront commissions, not including renewals.
Right.
So I mean, and I still don't spend any money, not a single dollar on advertising. It's all I have probably 12 or 13 different referral marketing strategies and systems. Um, and those are really the best leads. So what that's allowed me to do to answer your time management question is I just looked at how do I want my life to look first, kind of start with the end in mind, knowing that there's a minimum amount of kind of action and activity that I need to do each week to just keep generating enough leads to hit my sales goals. So I've consolidated everything down to 15 hours a week, believe it or not. So I do about 10 face-to-face, one-on-one, in-person appointments a week. So that's 10 hours. Basically, I do that over 2 5-hour days. And then I have a third day that I spend 5 hours on just doing all my marketing stuff. Um, handwritten thank you letters, old school, in the mail with a stamp after every sale I do from the previous week. Following up with some of our, people probably call them centers of influences. I call them trap sites, so trusted referral affiliate partners. And this is a lot of the stuff I teach in the agent community. Um, because once you have actual like lead magnets, free reports, free books, things of information that you can offer for free on the front end first, it's way easier to get more referrals. Because you can have your clients hand out information. You can have other businesses in the area hand out your information. So, like as an example, if you get a financial advisor who doesn't do anything with Medicare, but they have a pretty big book of their business with a lot of baby boomers turning 65. They're getting all these Medicare questions, but they don't want to have that conversation. And often their answer is, oh, you got to talk to Social Security, but Social Security doesn't do Medicare applications anymore. So all these people are kind of left, lost, and alone to figure it all out on their own. So by following up with these referral sources, these sites, and saying, this is a problem, you're being empathetic, you know that they need a solution, and I have free information I can give you as a resource to give your client, they're all like, yes, how can I have that? Please drop it off. I'll put it in my waiting room next to the stack of all the other free information we already have. So it
Yeah.
really does open up a lot more doors
And
that
especially
are normally closed.
yeah. So I think that that is true no matter what marketing strategy you have, mostly. Okay. So, what I mean by that is like you have basically created a referral program, like a sophisticated referral program,
Yep.
right? Like you provided value and information on the front end,
Mhm.
probably took you money to develop the book and the marketing stuff, and it took you time to develop the relationships. But now, as a result of that, your time is freed up because you can just all you got to do is maintain the relationship
Correct.
and then work the appointments that are inbound now,
Correct.
right?
Correct. Correct. Correct.
That is also true for, other types of marketing. Like let's even just say like if you did direct mail leads and you did it the right way, like a good solid lead, like over time, hypothetically, you would do less direct mail leads and you would get more passive business just from referrals from your book of business,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or
Yes. Yep. So I call it leverage lead generation, right? You're letting other people from a trusted source transfer their trust to your lead to then want to work with you. So direct mail is great. I actually have gone through a lot of like marketing, copywriting courses, coaching. I'm in a whole nother, like $100,000 mastermind that I pay to be a part of to learn these skills, direct mail and things. I've just taken that skill set and applied it kind of with the personal relationship, if you will.
yeah,
But yeah, I totally agree. I think the problem with a lot of agents and why they kind of get stuck, because I mean, I think most agents believe they do a better job than other agents they're aware of in their area, right? Everyone kind of believes that about themselves. And therefore they think I should be getting a lot of referrals. But then they don't. Or if you ask them, how many referrals do you get? How often do you get them? Where are they coming from? It's kind of like a blank stare. I know I get them, but I can't really it's not measured or managed. So to your point, yeah, I mean, I basically created a like referral machine, if you will. And yeah, I spend five hours a week just pumping the machine, keeping the gears greased. And I know as long as I do these certain things on my checklist, I'll probably get another 10 to 20 calls the following week. And it just keeps me doing 40 appointments a month. Out of those, it kind of translates to 30, 35 apps. It's just been pretty much rinse repeat for like 5 years. So
yeah,
it's really just being better at the basics. You don't have to do any of this fancy stuff. I mean, I have a Facebook business page, but I don't do any online marketing, advertising. It's
yeah,
just getting too
right,
saturated
yeah.
because everybody thinks it's a new thing to do. It's a digital market, but now everyone's there. So you don't stand out from anyone.
Yeah, I don't have a social media presence at all anymore, like in any way. And I do have like a website, which just for a little bit of validity and information for
Yeah,
people looking
credibility
me
for
up.
sure.
But to your point, I spend a lot of time telling people like if you want to be a successful independent agent or even a small agency owner, right?
Mhm.
Like you want to have a few agents under you, you cannot compete against GoHealth. Like
No, right.
can't compete against these massive marketing recruiting FMOs that just recruit 18-year-old kids off the street and go compete with them because they're going to have more energy. They'll dump their time into
Yeah,
it
yeah,
that
yeah,
you're
yeah.
not willing to do. So, like what I always tell people is everyone is zigging. How can you zag? Like personal relationships, direct mail, referral partnerships, like what you've set up. These are different things that still work. And in fact, they may even work better right now than they ever have
Yep, yep,
because
yep.
all of the money is going into like telesales and Facebook leads and like mass recruiting of agents to just get people through the door. And so your time is going to reflect that you're doing something different than what everyone else is doing. That's why I don't
Right.
know that mine is down quite to 15 hours, but I certainly, when it's not AEP and I'm not working on extra projects, there's
Mhm.
no way I'm putting in 40 hours to generate to
Oh, yeah,
sell
yeah,
my
yeah.
Medicare plans
Yeah,
each
yeah.
month.
Yep,
Not even
yep.
remotely close. Hey, we're gonna wrap this up
Okay.
because I got a hard deadline. I think this conversation would be perfect for our next one to be
Okay.
about book of business management, right? So
Sure.
you're
Yeah, yeah.
talking about leveraging your book of business. So I got less than a minute here. What can we talk about on the next podcast, like as far as book of business?
Yeah, I mean, so probably another strategy that a lot of agents are a little like shocked about is how I, as an independent agent by myself, solo shop, manage a book above 1,700 policies and am able to retain them every AEP. 90% of my retention is done before October 15th. So I'm happy to kind of share that strategy.
Yeah,
Again, it's based on the relationship and rapport and how you attract those clients on the front end. So,
that's going
um,
to be perfect.
yeah.
That'll be a perfect segue. Hey, dude, thank you so much for being on again. I
Yeah, you
want to
got it.
keep you short, and we will talk soon.
All right. Take care.